Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. You're going to find that rather difficult. My mind is going. I can feel it.
That's gonna work great, man. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Pete. Well, that doesn't look like Pete, does it? No, Pete's
No,
on
not quite.
Pete's on assignment. So welcome everybody. I'm here with a special guest, Rick Moreno, author, and we get to talk to
everybody.
him. Yeah, we get to talk to him about his book here in a little bit, and we just want to kick things started. We're a 70s, 80s, 90s pop culture sci-fi fan-run, fan-loved, part of the family out there.
Family. Yep.
So we love that you're all out there for us and watching us every Thursday. It is 8 o'clock every Thursday, and it's now 8:04. So I was a little late, I admit it. I was in there back here pushing buttons. So that's kind of the way it works back here in the back end with the Cylons, just slaving away, just making things work. I just don't get it. So let's see. We've got everybody. I gotta get my thing. Well, first of all, we should probably start off with just toasting the fans. That's what we normally do. So we're 70s, 80s, 90s
Absolutely.
pop culture, sci-fi stuff that we love. This stuff. We love talking to authors. We love the people behind the cameras, and we love doing what we do. We do this even if nobody was watching, anyways. But we'd still have a great time at it. So, anyways. We always like to say thanks to the fans. So tonight I am going to do a toast. Let's see. I am working with some good stuff here. This is if you don't.
Very nice.
Yeah, this is some good rum. I'm a rum kind of guy. That's not a Cylon thing, but anyways. But we'll get that going here. A little bit of that.
Is there such a thing as a pirate Cylon?
I don't know. You would think so. It'd be kind of cool.
We'll have to find out. Yeah.
There we go,
cool.
Sean. If you're watching, there you go. There's your next part of your universe. Let's make pirate Cylons who broke the code, went off on their own, and started stealing from their own and stealing from other people. This could be a
There you go.
book. Look at that. We already started a book. Yeah, and I have an author. We're set. He's going to write it up next week. He's got plenty of time for that, right?
Absolutely.
Anyways, thank you for joining us. Why is the rum gone? It's not gone. It's still there. See? I mean, it's there. I even used the big round ice thing so it doesn't water the rum down. But you have to sip this one. This is banana rum. Good stuff. So anyways, thank you for joining us. Rick, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
So we'll start off with toasting to the fans. We always like the fans, and we always appreciate the fans, because the fans what keeps the thing going out there that we love so much. And here's to you, because fans feel the
Fans feel the.
Oh my God, that's good. Oh, that's my second favorite rum.
Nice.
That's my second favorite. Anyways, and I have my backup beer just in case I finish off my rum that night, but I don't think I will. So, anyways, we got John should be joining us here shortly, hopefully. I don't know where he's out there or not. But you've got 2 more books in the process. Give us a little rundown while we got you. This is late.
Yeah,
This is
sure.
great. I have a co-host and an interview at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. So after I wrote the first book, Zeta 5, I thought it was pretty one and done, but then afterwards I had the writer's bug and just kept going. And actually I've finished 3 others. I'm working on the 5th one in the series now, and I've got the next 3 books in with the editor now, and hopefully looking to release book 2 around end of January next year. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm actually looking to finish the series with the 6th book, because book 5 isn't really going to finish it where I want it to. So book 5 should actually or book 6 should actually finish the series, and I've got a straw man put together for what that book's going to look like. So, but it's been a fun journey. I've been doing a lot of book fairs and things like that, trying to get the word out. I've been expanding my reach on TikTok, and I've got quite a few people out there that have been doing reviews. I've also been doing other podcasts and stuff. So if you look up Zeta 5, Path of the One on YouTube, you'll see quite a few interviews out there as well.
Awesome. And Zeta 5, I'll look that up right now. I thought I had it pulled up, but it didn't. Up on
No worries.
Amazon.
Yep. And I did sign a thing with Ingram Spark, so it's also available on Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target. You can order it online from any of them as well now.
Any audiobook coming?
I've got a group that I'm going to be talking to next week. The problem is the book is a little bit of a chunker. It's the paperback is 630 pages. And when I first looked at doing an audiobook, it was around 10 grand. But there's some other options that are, yeah. So it was kind of cost prohibitive for me at the time. But I've been listening to a few other people, and there's some other options that are available for doing an audiobook. So, like I said, I'll be talking with another group next week to see what kind of options are available to try and get it on audiobook.
You ever thought about doing it yourself?
I would, but I don't read out loud very well. So trying to do an audiobook that way would take me forever.
It'd be interesting to try.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people,
would.
a lot of people doing it that way.
Yeah, the other thing too is there's quite a few characters involved, so trying to do all the voices associated with that, especially if you're not used to doing that, would probably be a bit of a challenge as well, I would think.
Cool. I am spelling Zeta so many different ways. Z-A-D-A. Z-A-D-A.
Z-A-D-A space 5.
Okay.
You might need to look it up under R.D. Moreno, Zeta 5 R.D. Moreno.
Yeah.
Because the other thing too is there's a furniture company out there that has a furniture set called Zeta.
Oh, great. That's what I was hitting, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I discovered that afterwards. Yeah.
I guess that's one of those things when you start looking at putting it together a book and you start asking, what should I call this? How'd you come up with the name?
Yeah. Well, actually, so I had read Dune when I was in high school and thought that I would really like to write something like that. and the way I present the book is Dune meets Game of Thrones meets Stargate. And I pay homage to the Dune. So I wanted a large mining planet, which Zeta 5 is, but I wanted to come up with something that was a little unique to it. And when I first started looking around and I said, okay, what do I want to do? So I came up with some bizarre names, and then Zeta stuck with me, and it's like, okay, let's do Zeta 5. So let's make that the fifth planet in that solar system.
There we go.
Yep, there you go. So, and I did receive 2 awards for it over the Christmas holiday, which I was really elated about.
Did like for awards for that book? Is that like does that work like you have to put in for it, or they just somebody just finds it?
Yeah, because I'm an independent author. I didn't go through a traditionally publishing house. I had to apply for all the awards myself. And as an author, you write this stuff hoping that something like that will happen, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking, nah, it's never going to happen. But it actually did. I mean, the book was out less than a year when I got the 2 awards, so it was released April of last year, so it's been out a little over a year now.
Awesome. Let's see who.
So,
we
but I
got
received
tonight.
1 gold medal and one silver medal for it. Well, thank you.
That's awesome. Let's see. We
Thank
got
you.
Lola's on. Her name was Lola. Erica, once again, heartfelt. We do care. Sorry for your loss. Lost one of her friends recently.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Kim. Hey, Commander. Hey, everybody. Mr. McCoy's on there. Paul Rodder's out there. Let's see. Now, and where's the rum gone? I get it now. I didn't. It was a joke. I got it now. That's a great show, though. Too. That's really love that. That's one of my favorite movies. And let's see. Paul, Erica, Chris Laskowski. Hey, there we go. From Down Under. Lola, again. Chuck. Hey, Chuck. And I played a little Open the Pod Bay Doors there for you, Chuck. Hopefully you heard that. So, George G's in the house. And Bert was right on the front. So good job. Great to see everybody in there. And okay, so let's pick your brain some more.
Absolutely.
AI opinions.
For me, well,
I got to ask the AI question. It's a computer thing, so right? It's the silence.
Well, it is, and so I spent 41 years in IT, 20 plus years doing installation. I used to repair mainframe computers way back when. I remember Windows 2.11, so that tells you how far back I go.
Oh, I'm luckily I only remember 3.1. So
well, and I remember DOS 2.0. So
well, I have to admit I went to high school for Fortran and Cobalt. I did those languages when I was in high school.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, see, I had learned Unix programming way back when because working on mainframes, you had to know Unix. So I had to write Unix code there. And if you ask me now, I probably couldn't write a line in script anymore. And you really don't have to. But to that point, and like the last part of my career, I was managing other clients' networks, and one of them was HP. So I mean, that's a large computer company, and AI is probably a big part of that. Now, because when I got out of the industry was in 2020, and that's AI was just poking its head out. But I think there's a place for it. I think we just have to be careful how we use it. But
is there a place for it in writing?
Yeah, well, I'm still not a fan of using it for writing because I really think it needs to come from the author himself. I know some authors out there that use it to help when they get stuck with some of their plots and that, and they'll use it to try and pick their brain a little bit. But as far as actually writing a book, I still am a little off on that piece of it because I know what it takes to write a book and to get a book out there and to just put something into AI and push it out there is kind of a cheat for me. But I mean, as far as graphics and all the rest of it, there's still a lot of haters out there as far as what AI does with graphics. But I think they're going to have to learn to accept that at some point because
Yeah.
it actually makes things easier for a lot of people that don't have the ability to do all the graphics and stuff that others do.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, it's a tough one because I
Right.
just wrote I just wrote a part of I'm writing part of a book with Pete and the rest of the crew, and part of that book is
Yeah.
one of the part talks about AI, and
Hmm.
it is I think it's for certain things it's leveled the playing field in regards to
Right.
video and in regards to pictures and things like that. There's things I don't have. I
Hmm.
don't have that capability, and I don't have the
Right.
funding. If I wanted to, hey, so and so, can you make me a picture for whatever? It's like, first of all, usually they're IP, protected if you're going to do anything. I mean, we have great storylines, and you're not looking to make money off of the stuff, and you're
Yep.
looking like Battlestar Bulletin Board puts together Sean and that crew out there. They put together a story, and they are actually able now. When they first started out, they're able now to actually add pictures to it, and then they were able to add small video clips to it. So now you're reading
Yep.
this fan fiction that they can do, but nobody can write. Nobody can. I can't write. I can't make the video like that. I can't put that stuff together. So I
No.
think
No. You
I think it's
can't.
really leveled the playing field in regards to the Hollywood stuff that's in there. But it's really scary, is because some of the stuff's better than Hollywood now. I mean, you're like,
Yeah.
I
It
don't
is.
know if
Yep.
that's real or not. I mean, if you're flipping through
Yep.
Facebook or whatever, and you're going through and you're like, I don't know if that video is. Have to look over the side, look for the Sora thing on the side, maybe. But
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
you're like, wow, it's so hard to tell now, and you ask yourself half the time, is that real or not? And then of course, the dancing
Yeah.
cat flipping you off, that's probably AI. I don't think they're going to train the cat that well. It would be interesting too,
Right.
and I will try to train mine that way, but I don't think she's going to appreciate that at all. And I might not make it out of it with at least a couple of fingers not cut.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, I think it's leveled the playing field quite a bit, and it's just, I don't know. Where is it going? Is it going to be, other great thing about talk about AI and we talk about books, you start wondering, is it ever going to get to the point where it's almost sentient?
Yep.
And deleting the program, is that murder?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that you start asking these things. You're like, am I?
It's got a soul and you just wiped it out.
Yeah, I just delete. It's like, oh, did I just kill someone because it was AI? So I think maybe someday we'll get there. It's a long ways down the road, more than likely. But
Oh yeah. It is.
as
Yep.
fast as it's been moving now, it's like every other day. In my main job, we utilize it a little bit to create training video stuff, and every day it's something new. Something new comes out.
Yep.
A
It
new
is.
audio piece of it, a new voice piece of it, a new picture piece of it, a new video piece of it. Hey, you can only do 5 seconds of video, and then hey, now you can do 20 seconds of video, and hey, now you can take that first 5 seconds, drop it in, and make it go past that 5 seconds, and then the prompting. You don't have to go to a school for prompting. It's just to get it, to see it,
Yep.
to work it the way you need to work it. So I'm excited about it. In writing though, yeah, I think if you get stuck somewhere, you can use it. Or if you need to look over what you've done and say, hey, what have I missed?
Right.
What kind of things have I done that I've missed? I think it's really good there. But creativity wise, I don't think it's there for the writing piece, because it's just, I don't know. It's like, hey, write me a story about something, and they're like, like we were just listening to earlier before John comes on. There's Jack. John comes on. We're like, I'm trying to get an audio song made up for him, and of course it's like
Right.
Interfleet. What was it saying? Broad. We couldn't say broadcasting. It said
Broadcasting or something. I couldn't say broadcasting.
it's a plain word. You would think it would know what it is, but it couldn't get it
Right.
right. So that was crazy. But yeah, so that's, I think, the AI piece is there, but I think you're always going to have humans. You're always going to have actors. I don't think. Well, I don't know. I mean, some of the things you can make video do now, you can almost. I don't know. I think you're always going to have an actor, somebody who's human, or somebody's going to direct that person. It's going to be real tough.
Right.
I don't know. And then who did the cover of your book?
So that came from 99 Designs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did a book contest, and so we got 20 different models, mock-ups, and that was kind of one of the last ones. And so I had them do a little tweaking. I had to make the swords red because if you read the book, the swords are red for a reason. They glow red for a reason. And the woman in there, I talk about two blondes, and so I told them that they had to make her blonde. It showed a brunette, and a little bit of tweaking like that, brighten them up a little bit,
Yeah.
and then readjust the words. And yeah, I was happy with it. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of compliments for the book cover. So
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And then the other one's done by the same artist, or you don't have those book covers you can show us, do you?
Actually, they're on my computer. And I can send you a bunch of them if you want,
Kind of
and
fun.
we can display them another time.
We get that.
Yeah,
Get it up front. No, somebody else sees it first, right? It's an IFB exclusive.
Yep.
Although
Yep.
and that'd be fun. We could do that probably towards the end of the night if you get a chance to pull that over. And then yeah, so
Yeah.
congratulations
Okay.
on the books. I mean, how long does it take you? That's not a
Thank
book.
you.
It's an encyclopedia. So I mean, you could hurt somebody with that thing, or use it for at least to stop a bullet. So I mean, Pete does an encyclopedia as well. He wrote his book, history book, and he just did they had him come out and actually do a class on it. They paid for everything, and it was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, his book
Nice.
it's a doorstop, buddy. I'm telling you. So when you start writing and you're like, is there not? I mean,
Yeah.
what you had that many pages in, and you're like, did you like ever come to the point like, it's too many, or did it just fly by as you wrote? It just kind of flows into it.
Well, it kind of flew by. So I wrote that book in 6 months.
That's 600 pages. You wrote 100 pages a month.
Yeah, pretty close.
Pretty
Yeah.
close. Wow.
Yeah, pretty close. Once I got into it, the first chapter and a half took me about a week and maybe 2 weeks, and then I stepped away for a little bit because it's like, is this really the way I want it to go? And then I did some percolating, and then I jumped back in it, and then it just kind of took off from there.
Wow. That's a lot of. I'm going to do a book, but mine's going to be like a short book. Did you write any other books before this one, or you just kind of this one was kind of your heart and soul?
No. Yeah, no, I just jumped into the deep end and went for it.
Tread water. And then your other books, how big are your other books? Are they about the same?
Well, yeah, so the other books 2 and 3 are right around 300 pages. Book 4 is a little over 400 pages. Book 5 is probably going to be between 450 and 500 pages. And I'm not sure how big book 6 will be yet.
Yeah. Wow. How many books are going to be in the series, do you think?
So I think I can finish it with book 6.
Then what?
Kind of the way I put the straw man to, yeah, kind of the way I put the straw. Oh, then what?
Yeah.
So I actually have a couple other books. I actually wrote another book that's complete fantasy that I'm probably 12, 13 chapters into. But the woman that helped me publish this first book, it's like, well, do I want to continue on with that book or go off with it? And she said, no. She says, once you get a following for this first book, you're gonna piss off your readers if you throw something completely different into it.
Oh wow, that's a
And
good point.
yeah, so she said, no, finish off your series, and then maybe in the middle of the series when you're doing that, then maybe push out this other book. So I've started actually today. I was out raking leaves and stuff, and I had that book percolating in the back of my mind.
Yeah,
Which, as a writer, I mean, you can't pick what goes on in your head. It just goes.
yeah. I got one of those Plod devices. I don't have it on me now, but I have a little recorder on my wrist. That thing's amazing. It's like every time
Yep,
I come along, I think of it. I got to remember that. Otherwise, I will forget it.
yep.
There's no doubt about it. I hit that button,
Yeah, I have a
talk.
little mini recorder
Yeah,
that I bring with me everywhere too.
I
Yeah,
talk to that thing, and
exactly.
then it come back and puts it'll do the transcription later on. It's like that. Thank
Oh,
God
nice.
that's amazing because it's like I would forget half the stuff I would do. Half the time, Pete knows.
Yeah,
Pete knows if I came up with an idea, I would hurry up and grab my phone and I would type it in and send him a instant message on the things, and he would just copy and paste those into a Word document later on for me.
nice.
So Pete and I were when we worked for we put standard word together. I'm like, hey, this is my idea. Hey, this is my idea. He's like, he was just write them down, and then we'd come back and we meet up and go, okay, let's put these ideas in some sort of order, and then that's how he came up with
Sure.
the Stranded Warrior. But
Nice.
it's amazing, and I do love, and I think I wrote part of a chapter today. It's like it's so important that if you want to write something, and then if you've got an idea in your mind and you've got a story that you want to tell, whether it be fan
Yep.
fiction or whether it be a story, and or if you had an experience, like we're gonna have Jack on here shortly, where you have done something and some other people can learn from it, or some other people can be entertained by it, and if you don't write that
Absolutely.
down,
Yes.
you don't write that down, you don't put it in some form, you don't put it into video, you don't put it into audio, you don't put it into writing, it's gone. When you
It is.
leave,
Yeah, it
it's
totally
gone.
is. Yeah.
So I think it's so important. That's why I love getting the writers and the authors on and talk to them and say, hey, how'd you come up with this? What's next? Hey, what would you tell other people if they want to write something? Would you tell them to write a 600-page novel, or start small, or what are some of the pitfalls that you ran into that you would tell other people right now that like don't do that or do that?
Well, for me, what I tell everybody is, um, so I took a couple of classes in high school, and one of the things that they taught me was, don't worry about the grammar, don't worry about it. Get what you have, what you're going to write, get it down on the page or in the computer, whatever you're doing. But just get it down there, and you can worry about grammar and the rest of it later. But once you get it out of your head and on paper, then at that point, it's a lot easier to try and sift through what you want to do with it. But if you don't do that, then you're absolutely right. It just goes into nowhere. So and I see all these stats about all these people that want to be writers, but they never take the step to do that. And so that there's a lot of stories that are probably out there that could be great, but these people just never took the opportunity to do it. So I tell everybody, I said, if you have that idea, get it down on paper. Just get it down, and you can find a great editor to help you with it later, and uh, and go from there.
Yeah, but so what would you recommend? What would you recommend that first step be? I mean, what's that first step? What's the, hey, I've got this great idea in my mind. Should I go to school? Should I start writing something? Should I get formal education before I try this? I've got so many roadblocks in my
Yep.
way and so many things I'm scared of.
Well,
What's the right path? What's the good way to go?
well, all I can really say is how it went for me. So grammar was never my thing. So when I finished the book, I knew it was going to need a lot of help. There was a lot of it was going to have to be done with grammar, and I wrote a lot of stuff with the third person, so I had to learn exactly how all that phrasing and the rest of it should be highlighted and formatted in my writing. And I learned a lot of that from the editors that I worked with. when I got the first book published. But I'm a high school graduate, and like I said, I never went through any formal literature or any training like that. So it was all about just getting my words on the page. Um, hey, John.
Looks like John finally joined us. Where's he at? I don't see him though. John, I don't think you're working.
There we go.
There we go, John. All right. Well, let's get John on real quick before we get Jack on, and let's have John do his great. I tried, John. Actually,
Hey, John.
Here we go. I tried to create a AI music for you this evening, and let me get your audio on first, so you can actually talk to us. Yeah, there we go. There you are, right there. I think that's where we go. Check.
Hello, hello.
There you
guys
go.
Hear me?
I hear you now.
Yes,
All right.
we hear you.
All right.
So I actually tried to create. It might echo here. Don't ever forget to turn the system sound off because it will echo. But so you ready for this? This is what the computer came up for your intro music, and it's actually too long. It's 3 minutes long, so I'm only gonna play parts of it.
Oh,
I asked it for some 70s sci-fi funk. Feel it. Feel it.
Oh, John,
yeah, like a loaded drum.
he's got the information of the world's imagination and a full-time occupation. He's on interfere broadcasting. You
Broadcasting.
got a question?
Could not say broadcasting.
He's the question and answer man. He's got the news, all the science fiction news from
Amazing.
interfere
AI can do that.
Wow.
He's got a full-time
I can't.
occupation. He's got
But still, I can't see broadcasting.
I gotta go back and fix that glitch.
Gotta fix that glitch. All right.
Tasting.
Broadcasting.
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 Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
goodness.
no.
That's it. All right. Let me get your pictures up and ready here. What's your first story? Hang on. I'm on the wrong. Stranger Things?
Running Man.
Running Man? Okay, I'm going backwards then. And I haven't got to see that yet. I'm anxious to go see it.
They come out tomorrow.
Well, the release is Friday, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
You guys see Predator? Predator Badlands yet?
No, I haven't seen
That was
Predator.
good.
That,
That was
that's
pretty
on
cool.
Apple? No.
No, it's on movies. It's in a movie theater.
Oh, which one's the? Oh, I'm thinking Alien.
Yeah. Alien is on Hulu. Alien Ramos is on Hulu, and Alien Earth is on Hulu too. Great season.
The one channel I do not have is Hulu. I've got about every darn thing else. But I thought if I had Apple Plus, I had Hulu. That's not true.
And Apple Plus is coming out with a Prehistoric Planet in 2 weeks, but the Jurassic World,
Yep.
that's what too. And Monarch is coming out in February, I think. Monarch season 2.
Amazing. All right, John, I'm going to turn it over to you for some science fiction news. And thank you for doing all that you do behind the scenes in regards to getting this information for us.
All right, my minions have me busy for so. Hello, everybody, and tonight we have some news and renewed shows and upcoming projects. First up, a remake of The Running Man. Remember the series with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he had to survive being attacked by these truckers, by these bad guys. So this is a remake based on the Stephen King movie, and contestants have 30 days to survive. So a lot of killers and try to track them down, and they win a big prize as the #1 series on TV. So it looks pretty good. The action looks pretty fun. So, that's how the movie fit is tomorrow. I can't tell who the Glenn Powell is in it, I think, and a couple other people, but it looks a lot. The trailer looks a lot more action-packed, thrills. It looks like a good fun ride to watch it. So that's going to be out in theaters tomorrow. And let's see. I'm happy to report that Alien Earth has been renewed for a second season. It was a good series. I hope season 2 is going to be better. They have a lot more plans for it, corporations, how the synths are going to go at it. So they're going to start shooting in sometime next year, early sometime next year for season 2. So it's going to be a great season. You guys see season 1 already? Look forward to see. That's going to be good.
I want to, but I can't. Someone lend me their Hulu password. That's
also, Alien Romulus 2 has been confirmed as well. So that's going to start shooting pretty soon too. So hopefully they can do a great sequel with that as well. So, and as well, Buck Rogers fans will be happy with this. There's a Buck Rogers movie in the works. That should be good. I wonder who's going to star in it. Who's going to be Buck Rogers. More importantly, who's going to be Wilma Deering.
That's the more important one. But I hear Buck Rogers might be George Clooney.
Yeah, I heard that same thing. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, I guess he can age in the when he goes into the future. Okay, but hopefully, we'll have a nice actress for Wilma Deering. That's just a lot of. I met her at DragCon, so she shook my hand twice, and it was great. So I was very happy.
She's amazing. And did you go to the? She does Tai Chi.
But no, I didn't make it into it. It was sold out. You couldn't get into it.
Couldn't get into the Tai Chi. Every year she does Tai Chi.
Yep. So the boys were with me that week this time, so they want to go to. I'm like, oh come on, you're missing out. But they want to go out to go see cryptids. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So, but yeah, that's gonna be coming out soon. That's in effects now, so we'll keep you posted when that's gonna come out. And let's see. Here is something pretty interesting. Recently at a fan expo in Philadelphia, director John Carpenter answered a question from a fan. He said there may be potential sequel to The Thing 2. So he's saying that maybe, and then we're getting reports that he's working on a script for it. They're so long, we think they'd be frozen by now, but I want to know which one's farther, which one not.
John Carpenter, if you're listening, I want a sequel to They Live.
Oh, yeah. Whatever the new line will be. I come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass.
And I'm all out of bubble gum.
And let's see. HBO is creating a V for Vendetta series. Remember the 5th of November? Bubble and Treacle Flop. So I don't know how they're going to do it. Probably going to be a dystopian future. And then the V is going to be a bad guy who hooks up with somebody. And it's going to be a series of attacking the government. I don't know. But that's in production now. It's going to go to HBO Max. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. And there was an Ink Gladys. If anyone want to see that movie Weapons, which I just saw, which is, wasn't as bad as Barbarian. Barbarian was a lot more. That really freaked me out. This was I kind of like figured it out when I was watching it. But they're going to make a prequel for Aunt Gladys. If you guys see Weapons, you know who she is. I don't want to give anything away. So, and that should be good. And then there's going to be a Werewolf by Night. Disney's working on a Werewolf by Night series, a prequel. If you guys see on HBO Plus, it was a series. There was a special supernatural noir. And it was pretty good episode. So they're going to work on a prequel now. And no further news than that. The upcoming Avengers Doomsday movie will feature multiple Dooms. Let's say Anna Armos might be a Doom too. So there's going to be different types of Dr. Dooms in this. So I like to see how they're actually going to do this. So that's going to come out in May, I think. So, oh well. And there will be a sequel to
Robert
Godzilla.
Downey Jr. is supposed to be Doom.
Yeah, I still can't see Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom. I mean, he must be like a part of it, but I think there could have been a lot more better actors that would do it. Esposito wanted to do it. Giancarlo Esposito would have been a great Dr. Doom. It's my 2 cents, but he's going to be the new Dr. Freeze, from what I understand. So that's pretty cool. And there will be a sequel to the Godzilla -1. It will be Godzilla -0, which I really can't figure it out, but I guess that's going to be the new sequel to it. But I can't. But if I get to see Godzilla destroy stuff, I'm all for it. So that's in creation.
They're going to have to change. They would have to change the name because look, it said Godzilla -1, 2.
-1, and then -1, 2. So
they have to change the name.
Yeah, -1, 2. So it's back to Godzilla -1, right?
They're like, oh man, we really named this one wrong. What do we do? Let's just call it 0.
Yeah, that's good. It would round it back out to 0. It'd be radioactive, like -1 or whatever. I don't know how to figure it out. But it was coming out soon, so I'm looking for it. And I have to mention Prime Video's newest Critical Role series, The Mighty Nine, will debut on Amazon November 9th. This is an adult animated series about a group of fugitive and outcasts that have to work together to save the world. So it's an animated series, like Vox Machina. So it's based on an D&D story. So that's pretty funny. And season 5 of Stranger Things will start on Netflix on November 26th. And that'll be the final season of the second part of season 5 will be December 25th, I think. And then the last one will be in a movie theater on New Year's Day. And that will be the end of Stranger Things. And that's it for me, everybody. Have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And thank you for bearing with me. And we have a great guest tonight, as always. And that should be it.
Sounds great. Thanks, John. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
That was, I haven't seen any of the Godzillas. It's probably sad. I don't see. I don't know. I remember the old ones. I really love the old ones a lot. And then the claymation, almost claymation style. That was. Then it just got kind of out of control. So I don't know. I watched that one. So John's probably
the Japanese ones with the guy in the rubber suit.
Yeah. And then of course the mouth didn't. Run!
Morphin Rangers or whatever it was.
That's it. All right, so let's see who else is on there tonight. We've got, and I'm sorry I can't change this one, but you're Pete now, by the way. I got to go in and reprogram this one to give me the ability to change it. So we got thanks,
No
John.
worries.
Love the older Godzilla Garcia. Oh wow, that was bad. Wow, that we got canceled immediately. Bring on the bring in the spandex. Oh, I must have missed that one. I don't know what that one. The Doctor Doom probably. Yeah, it reminds me of Buck Rogers, the episode from the band. All right, so we do have in the wings our very special guest going to talk to us, give us a master class tonight. That's practically a master class. Every time you talk to this person, first of all, I want to say he can't talk to me right now, so he knows he can hear me, but he can't talk right now, and that way I like it because I can say, Jack, you are amazing. You're probably one of the very few people that have actually, that is an actual Hollywood actor that would take their time and spend time talking to the fans like you do and coming on our show as much as you do. And we really appreciate you coming on. And I have to say he can't talk now because otherwise, John left. Okay. Otherwise we may not get a word in edgewise because he always says it and it's always true. Never get an old actor talking. Because he can't stop, and all I do is sit back and just roll my eyes and like, wow, that's some of the stuff that we're going to learn is amazing. And it's one of the people earlier in this afternoon wrote on the advertisement for tonight. I can't wait to see Jack. I learned so much from him. So Jack, you are amazing, and thanks for coming on. So here we go. Here you are. And I think your mic now works.
Oh, I can talk now.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, you guys are great. You know how I feel about you guys, and and I'm very appreciative that you want me on. And it is true. Never get an old actor talking. You'll never shut him up. And
but we love that. That's the important part. I mean,
we do. Yes, absolutely.
It's just so great to have someone of your caliber being able to talk to us about some things. And tonight,
well, what Rick just said. I was listening. I came on a little earlier and listened to what Rick just said, and he's absolutely true. Now he's writing. I'm acting and directing, but it's the same thing when he says the hardest thing is to overcome your fear and don't be afraid. And just, if you have an idea, just start putting it down on paper. They, as we used to say, back when we were younger, they can't send you to Vietnam. They might send you to the Caribbean Ocean in a small boat these days, but okay, no politics. But no, it's this was supposed to be the night we talked about the transitioning from acting into directing, and so. You'll have to tell me when to start because it starts with a question for you. So you let me know when I'm supposed to go.
Shoot, you shoot. I never get questions. So this is
all
fun.
Right. So everything starts out.
By the way, I'm an award-winning director as well.
All right, I know. I saw that.
Yes, congratulations. That's awesome.
The first thing is here's the question. okay? Because, you know, everything starts from a tiny pinpoint. And so the question to you is, how do you define an actor? I want you to give me the definition of an actor.
An actor is someone who takes the script, creates acts the character, utilizing the director's direction and the writer's direction.
All right.
It's not something he should be doing alone. You don't give an actor and say, hey, here's a script, and ta-da, he becomes an actor or she becomes an actor. I think that they need guidance from the person who either is writing the script or the person who is directing the script to shape that character in the director's
See, you're
mind.
starting in the middle. You got to go back to the beginning. You know, go back to the beginning. You know, and I'll give you the answer. You know, because it's so many conventions to ask this question. An actor is somebody who spends his life pretending to be somebody else.
Simple.
Okay.
Yes.
Open up your Webster's dictionary and look up the definition of paranoid schizophrenic. So, as I always said, and laughingly said, in order to be an actor, you have to be crazy. And I knew I was crazy from a very early age, and I was able to maintain my sanity by accepting the fact that I was nuts and was much happier in my fantasy world than I was in my real life. And that's really, you know,
that's the same thing as a fan, then.
Yeah, you know, it's we're all the same. But you know, as tonight, you know, we were going to talk about the transition from acting into directing. You know, as an actor, I can always say that I'm the last of the group of actors in America that was trained. You know, and we've had this conversation before, that I was method trained, and you know, by Stella Adler, and the whole key to it was to know why you did or said something, and or why you reacted to something, and it was all based on your personal experiences, and you drew from your personal experiences, and that was called the method. That also transitioned to directing. Now, as an actor, when I got a script, I would look at it, and you know, this character, whatever it was, which for me most of the time was the guy who got killed, and so I mean, it was you drew on your life experiences, and that's, you know, why, you know, I think that in my own career and everything in my own life, you know, I became a better actor as I went along because I had more life experiences to draw on. It's why I really love some of the, you know, I love what Harrison Ford is doing these days. You know, they remember him from Star Wars, but he's absolutely brilliant now in Shrinking and 1893. Yeah, the second one. I look at what Costner's doing now, and he accepts his age, and I think that's so many actors that as they get older, they try to keep doing what they did when they were younger, and it just doesn't work. You know, I mean, you look at what Liam Neeson is doing. I mean, it's just, you know, I want him to do something that's comparable to his age. You know, I've watched Denzel Washington. I wish he would play his age a little bit more. But anyway, yeah, beyond that, but as an actor, my feeling always went, you know, to a very famous line that was given by John Wayne when he got his Oscar for True Grit, which was, you know, obviously the wrong, you know, movie that they gave him the Oscar for, but they figured he deserved it for that. And they asked him, he was asked by the press whether or not this validated him as an actor, if he thought now that he was a good actor. And his response to that was, I don't know if I'm a good actor, but I think I'm a good listener. And I think that probably is the most important key to both acting and transitioning over into directing, is listening. And listening is not the same thing as hearing. To really listen, it takes in everything around you. And as an actor, you are listening and reacting to where you are, what the situation is, what your emotions are, what your physical movements are, and you are listening to all the input and reacting honestly as an individual. Okay, and that was how I functioned as an actor, and why I wanted to move on into directing, especially theater directing, was that I wanted to now be responsible for how everybody listened and reacted and did the things that they do, and that's why I got such a kick out of directing. And now I can't say that I was a film director. I was a stage director, which is this. It all comes from the same basic truth of listening and reacting. In film, when the camera's right in your face, your body movement, your reactions have to be much smaller. On stage, they have to be much bigger because they have to see it from the back row. But the emotion and everything is the same. So I don't want to get off into too many different directions here. So as a director, what I loved on the stage was, first of all, I directed both a lot of community theater and and less professional theater, but a lot of community theater. And we've talked about the fact that never put down community theater as something that oh my God, our next door neighbors in the local production of Guys and Dolls. I have to go see this. Some of the best productions out there are community theater productions, and some of the worst. And some of the best productions out there are on Broadway, and also some of the worst. As a director, what I always tried to strive for was absolute excellence in everything that I touched. So the first thing I did as a director was prepare. And as I knew the play that I was directing. And as an actor, I was a compulsive rehearser. I wanted to explore everything ahead of time in rehearsal. So, when we filmed, or when I was on the stage, when we opened, the performance was set. I was never a believer in the fact of, let's just try a few things and see how it turns out, and we'll see how it evolves. I never, accepted that philosophy. I think you needed specific goals. So every show that I directed, I would get the script, and I would literally lay out the script completely in every detail that I could think of ahead of time. And this was my floor plan, like building the keel of a boat. This was the floor plan. And then I did. Probably then the next thing that I did was the most important thing that I could do as an actor and as a director, especially as a director, was to surround myself with people who were far more capable than I was and let them do their jobs. So I was not a micromanager. I wanted very, very capable people around me. And I was lucky enough to be able to find really, really good people. The one thing that, when you start in rehearsal, you haven't got the set. So, but, I would go to my set designer and say, look, I don't need you to tell me what the pictures are on the walls or what color the walls are going to be. I need to know where the doors are, where the entrances are, and where the furniture is. Right. And if I know that, now I can move people. Right, I can put people where I want them. And then the next thing, and this is, going, to my whole philosophy of you can't do this wrong. Especially, at the semi-professional level. And, you were talking about that in writing, that people are afraid to, to take that first step. The first thing I did, in getting people in a show, unless you're dealing with completely professional actors, you're dealing with people who are doing this because somewhere in their youth or somewhere in their life, they had this urge to do what I spent my life doing. In order to be, an actor, you have to be a narcissist. The trick is to understand it and accept it and try to turn it off when they turn the lights off, as I always said. But you have to believe in yourself. And that's really, really hard for people to do, because we live in a world where negativism and criticism and, saying bad things to people is far more prevalent these days than encouraging and treating people with love. And that was the whole thing that I would do with people who said, "Oh God, I've always wanted to be in a show, but I'm scared I won't be good enough or anything." And I immediately would tell these people this: "No, you can't be afraid. Being, acting as I've, Chris, as I've always told you, is like falling in love. You can't do it part way. You got to jump in with both feet."
I was going to say it was hard to do in the dark.
Yeah, when you jump in with both feet, you open yourself up to great things coming your way, but you also open yourself up to great negative things coming your way. And being totally vulnerable is very, very hard for people to do, because when you're totally vulnerable, you open yourself up to things that can possibly go wrong. And like in everything, whether you are designing AI or whether you're, putting bolts in something or whatever you do, there's the possibility of things going wrong, but it isn't the end of the world. And what I wanted to instill in my actors as a director was, you can't do this wrong. There's nothing you can do this wrong. What I want you to do is put your trust in me, and I promise you that you will be brilliant. And I said that from the bottom of my heart, that my job, is to make this show a really, really good show. And I can't do that without you guys, because you are all the stars of the show. The director of a show, the biggest thing about being a director and being an actor, as an actor, when the show gets up, you get to be in the spotlight. And we all that's the narcissism. I always loved being in the spotlight. As a director, you're like the builder of a ship, and you build the ship and it's beautiful, and then you send it out to sea. And once the show opened, the most worthless person in the room is the director.
Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, because your job is done. And I was never one to come back, in the middle of a run and make changes. I wanted to explore everything in rehearsal, and absolutely on opening night, I would tell the cast that, the show is going to be as good as it's going to be on opening night. And that's why we rehearse. And we cannot rehearse enough. Anytime you want to rehearse something, if you want to call me or run something by me, absolutely. I do not want you to rely on me to give you every idea. I will give you every idea that I have, but I also want every idea that you have, right? Because if your idea is better than mine, we're using yours, right? Because the object is to get the best show up there that's possible. And especially dealing with semi-professional actors, they do come in afraid. And I used to have, this great line of, that I would tell people, look what you've done. You've come out, you've auditioned, you've been cast, and now you're afraid. Why are you afraid? Well, I'm afraid that I might not be good enough.
I might mess up. Yeah.
You will be good enough. You will be as good as you've ever dreamed that you can be. And that's my job is to get you there. And I promise you, if you put your faith in me, I will get you there. But what you can't do, the only thing that I will ever criticize you for is for not letting go completely. And you have to let go completely. So, and when they would, these are people that had aspirations to do what I did, but had to make choices in life. And, we all make choices in life, and, they had kids, they had to have a job, they couldn't do what I did.
Live indoors. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the great thing about, what we call community theaters, that you rehearse at night, and, you get, the show doesn't run for 2 years. Usually a show will run for 6 weeks or 8 weeks. But during that time and during the rehearsal period of time, this is your salvation. This is the place that you've always wanted to be throughout your entire life. And I always used to laugh and say, look, you work in an office, you can't stand your boss. He picks on you, he criticizes you, he tells you you're not worthwhile. And I said, you know what? At 5:30, you get to leave that office and come to the theater. And you know what? When you come to the theater, you're in the place that you were born to be, and your boss is still going to be an asshole.
Yeah. Yes.
So again, so that's what I would do. And as I was very, very lucky, and I'm going to talk about 2 shows that I did. I did a lot of comedy. And a lot of people think that, the hardest thing in the world to direct is the dramas, Death of a Salesman, 12 Angry Men, Glengarry Glen Ross. Those are hard shows to direct, but they're not nearly as hard to direct and perform in as comedy. Because
Really?
Absolutely, comedy is much harder to direct and much harder to perform in, because people look at comedy and they think they have to be funny. And that was always the thing that I preached from the beginning of the opening reading, was that it's the situation that is funny, and the situation that's real. And if you play the situation as reality, right, it's the situation that will be funny and the audience will laugh. If you try to be funny, you will not be true to the material.
Oh, good.
So and again, I will give you again one of the best things that I ever directed, and this was on a big stage, and I directed in 2 places. When you're directing on a big stage, it's wider than it is deep, and so many people have to be on the same level. The smaller theater I directed in, actually the stage was deeper than it was wide, which was great for me because I could direct that like film, and I could have people in front and back of each other, and you really had a room.
Yeah.
A room. And I loved doing that. I loved doing that because, I would tell actors, you don't have to be looking directly at somebody to have a conversation. You don't in real life, right? And I always loved it. And I said, that's where listening comes in, because you can be, over on the other side of the stage, upstage of the person that you're having a conversation with, right? And you can respond, right, by listening. And the audience, if you play the situation, the audience, will get the humor. So and the other questions, I'm really kind of rambling here tonight. The other thing,
you're going to talk about the funniest when you direct on stage.
Well, the full Monty, which is, a wonderful show. And this was one of those times where everything fell into place so beautifully, surrounding myself with really good people. I had a brilliant choreographer, and I had seen the Full Monty, and I remember the original movie, and then I saw it on the national tour, and I didn't like it. I really didn't like it because I thought they played it to be funny. And I said, when I, was told at the big theater here, that I was going to direct that, I immediately went to my choreographer and said, I want to make a lot of changes in this. I said, because this show is not, it's a musical comedy, but it's not. If you look at this show, these are guys that are out of work, they're on strike, they can't feed their families, they are absolutely demoralized, and they don't know what to do, and they get the idea because their wives go out on a girls' night out and go to the male stripper club to Chippendales and have a great time, and they all marveled at, that this guy at Chippendales got a lot of money stuck down his shorts by these girls, and he made a lot of money. And so they come up with the solution to their problems. What if we try to be male strippers? And this is the only solution that they can get to feed their families. And they're not good looking, they're overweight, they're not dancers, they're not suited for this at all. And they do this out of desperation. So I said, we're going to play this show as a real life last chance, before they take my house away from me, they repossess my car. This is our last chance. This is all we can think of. And I said, then the comedy will come out of how bad these guys look at doing this. And that's what will be hysterically funny. So I was lucky enough, when I saw the opening number, which was called Scrap, it was the guys in the Union Hall, knowing they were being laid off, and the numbers that they're all being treated like scrap. And when I saw it originally, it was over choreographed. It was too dancey. And I said, to my choreographer, I said, no, I said, it was all like they were on chairs and dancing around chairs. And so I said, no, take all the chairs out. All we need is 2 benches, right? And I want these guys to really be angry here. And I said, Susan Cable, who was my choreographer, was a nationally known choreographer throughout the country and in South America. She directed in, her husband was from South America. She was a former national gymnast for Brazil, great dancer and a great choreographer. So I said, this opening number, I want these guys moving, in patterns where they're just really just yelling at each other and yelling at the audience. We're scrap, we're scrap, we're scrap. And I remember, I said, I want the end of this first number, I want to use what I call my Rent lights. I always remember when I saw Rent for the first time, at the very end of the show, there was a big light blink on the last note. There's, a light change. And I said, so at the very end of this number, I want no lights on their faces. I just want all light from the back. So they're nobodies. You don't see them anymore. They're just scrap. And that's how I wanted to open the show.
Nice.
When I say, how things now, when you're doing a show, where you don't have all professional people there, you usually get good leads, and then your talent level, can tend to fall off. And that's one of the things you deal with. I did not have to deal with this in Full Monty. I got the best cast. I couldn't believe it. I got everybody I asked for. And the very opening of the show, this Chippendales dancer, we actually got, because one of the guys who came down to audition for one of the main leads had a friend who was a Chippendales dancer in San Jose. So we called him on the phone and we said, look, you're only in the first number, But I tell you what I will do. I will put you in as a separate character, smaller character later on in the show, if you will come down and do this. And he said, will you pay me? I said, yeah, we pay everybody. I only have 4 equity contracts, but we will pay you. And I said, this show, I said, you are probably the most important thing in the show because you opened the show. So we actually got a real Chippendales dancer to open the show with these girls all doing it. And it just started the show off. And then everything that we did, that we did is all these guys came out and started to try to, how do I move? How do I dance as a stripper? All these guys doing, and Susan Cable choreographed all these numbers so beautifully. They were hysterical, but what we were playing was the fact that they felt so humbled and degraded having to do this, right? But the humor came out of that dramatic situation. And that was why, I said, you play in comedy, you play the reality of the situation. You don't play the jokes, right? And the show, it was just, I changed 3 numbers, the choreography, 3 numbers. There's a number that ends the first act called Michael Jordan's Ball. And when I saw it, it was, again, way too dancey. And it was all based around, them talking about Michael Jordan, the basketball player. So we re-choreographed it into passing an imaginary basketball. We didn't have a basketball. We passed an imaginary basketball. And then they literally went up and down a basketball court, making imaginary passes and imaginary layups and imaginary jump shots. So it was true to the material of the song, right? Rather than trying to put a dance number in the show. And it was absolutely perfect. And then, of course, the wonderful character of the gal who's the accompanist, who just, I got this gal who's now passed on, Nancy Coker was her name, and she's got this great number, and she asked me, how do I do it? And I went, Elaine Stritch, monotone throughout the whole thing. And she was just brilliant. And that show broke every record for that theater and was considered the best musical that they'd ever seen. But I had a brilliant choreographer. I had a brilliant music director. I had a lighting guy. Now, this is long before LED lights, you got to realize. And, you're limited as to what you can do. And again, the difference between doing a musical and a straight show, a straight comedy, especially in the smaller theater, where I did so many of them, I might have 60, 70 light cues. I remember in Full Monty, we had 500 something odd light cues.
Holy
because
cow.
you have light cues. And I tell you, by today's standards, if you look at the modern shows, and I happened to see Frozen, on TV, and they had 43,000 lights on that set, and there were over 3,000 light cues in that show. And that's what you can do with modern technology. You can do with a light that's the size of a fairly large flashlight would take the place of 7 old Fresnels or spots.
Yeah, the old spots.
That we used to have. And so it was such a labor of love. And then going back to the doing straight comedies and especially farce in the smaller theater, I loved what I wanted the audience to see was, especially on a stage that was vertical, was a real room. So I loved practical lighting. If there was a lamp on the set, I wanted the lamp to light. I always wanted a fireplace. And every show that I did, an interior had to have a fireplace with a mantle, because a fireplace with a mantle is a terrific place to have somebody stand and lean on it. If there's a fireplace in a room, in a
I
cocktail
think every classical movie has got that scene.
yeah, well, you have to have it because it's a great place to put an actor, and a great place to have a drink, and then it really comes down to now what I would stress to the actors. Okay, I said this was I learned in the method, and what I'm going to teach you is if you know exactly why you do or say something, or why you have a physical movement, if you know the why of that and why you're doing this, the old what's my motivation? If you know the why you're doing this, you will always remember it. If you just try to learn lines and accept directions because Jack says I need to cross on, over stage left on this line, I guarantee you some night you're going to forget it. So that's what we stress of knowing, listening, and the only way you know why you do or say something is to listen. And I would sit there and that's from that's from Monty, and that's one of the original things when they're trying to learn how to do this stuff, and that film was actually shot illegally because we had equity actors and you weren't supposed to put it on film.
Oh, wow.
But that's a
We're watching that pirate stuff here. Woo!
Oh yeah, but it was. I mean, we were so lucky to get good people. So that's from Michael Jordan's ball. And he's talking about taking the basketball around and passing the basketball, and he throws the basket. So we were actually throwing in a and this was all Susan Cable, and I remember so much of the show involved the guys, and there were all their wives, that for the first half of the rehearsal, I had very little to do because I went to Susan Cable and I said, okay, now you're going to choreograph this. And she bought into every single change that I wanted to make. She bought into this. Hook, line, absolutely. She said, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And I said, well, what do I do now? Do I just sit and watch you? And she said, no, I don't want you anywhere near me.
Wow.
I looked at her. She said,
just go away.
Yeah,
go get lunch.
Go away. And when I'm ready for you to see it, I'll give you a phone call. and that's what I meant by surround yourself with people who are far more capable than you are, and let them do their jobs.
Oh,
and when I remember when I first saw the choreography, especially with the changes that I wanted to put in, and that I just let her know this is what I want it to look like, and she did. The first time I saw this, she said, okay, now you can talk to me and tell me what you want to change. And I said, nothing. I said, nothing. I don't want to change anything.
How'd she react?
She said, well, you always want something, don't you? I said, nope, it's absolutely perfect. I told you what I wanted to see, and you just gave it to me. Now we just need, to put it in. And that's why now, and that was Monty, and that was on a big stage. In the smaller stage, I loved watching, these actors react and listen in real circumstances. I remember doing Neil Simon's Rumors, which is very, very, very funny. And, I always tried to do something in the show that was not in the original script. And I remember in Rumors, one of the lead actors gets bonked on the head, and he's actually unconscious for about 20 minutes. And when he wakes up and he goes, what did I miss? And there's a fairly long paragraph of one of the other actors telling him this. And it's actually because the show's so complicated and there's so many moving parts. It was Simon's way of reinforcing what he had said. Yeah, that's the opening to Rumors. And so I came up with the idea of having, my lead actors who was sitting at the bar, down, yep, down left. And when he said, "Tell me what I missed," I said, "Okay," in an absolute monotone, as fast as you can say this paragraph with no inflection whatsoever. And she said, "But I'm supposed to be explaining." I said, just do it. Just try it that way. Try it that way." And she perfected this thing. She got this speech out, which was normally a 1.5-minute speech. She got it out in about 14 seconds.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And it brought the house down. It brought the house down every night because everybody just looked at her, listened to what she's doing, and then just went on with the show. Like that was the natural way to say this. And the audience cracked up. It stopped the show every single night.
Wow.
And but now you can see there, the picture there, that the depth of that thing. And these two actors are not on the same level. They're on one level, and that's so great because you can have actors talking to other actors from different points on the set. But I'm going back to
There's a clue.
I got.
She's got actually a phone that has a cord to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, we're dating ourselves there. Sorry.
Oh yeah. And,
Just a little bit.
yeah. But it was as we would get closer to opening, and then I would see the show every night, and for the most part, I would just sit in the booth and just watch. And I would literally, in these comedies, I would get emotional and start to cry. And my tears came from watching these people who started out, afraid and not sure,
wow,
and allowing themselves to open themselves up vulnerably, and to take the direction, make it their own, add their own things to it. We rehearsed it until it was second nature to us, right? And then when the show opened, you set them free. It's like a football coach, you send the play in and the players run it, right?
It's art.
You're on the sides. And I would get such a kick out of seeing their faces and knowing that for a short period of time, a 10-week period of time, they got to do what I loved my whole life. And that's why I love directing. I love taking the overall piece and treating it the same way I would do as an actor, but instead of just focusing on myself and my reactions to what the script and everything called for, I was now responsible for 8 or 10 people's reactions. And I wanted them all, Now, was I disorganized and left everything up to them? Absolutely not. I had the show completely laid out in every detail before we even started casting.
Wow, that's
I knew
prep.
I knew exactly which is why I went to the set director and said, I need to know where all the doors are and all things is. And I would, my script looked like hieroglyphics, right? And I knew this, and I trusted, as a director, I trusted what I knew would be funny, but I also had to make sure that every actor up there knew that their input was absolutely just as valuable. And a lot of times, they would, they wouldn't understand. There's always a situation. We've got somebody, as an actor. I remember from one show, the actor had to answer the phone, and she was on the other side of the stage. And you can't let the phone ring 4 times and have them go across the stage and do it. So, I just came up with the idea. I said, well, next to the phone is the bar. So, on your line that you're saying, which has nothing to do with the phone or the bar, just think that you want to get another drink or put some ice in your glass and walk over there. And as you arrive at the bar, to start to put the ice cube in the glass, I said, the phone's going to ring. And what's going to be funny here is you've picked up the ice cube, you drop it in the glass, and before the ice cube hits the glass, you've already said hello on the phone. And it works. It works. And it's very funny. But I said, now you need to know why you're going over there. You're going over there to put ice in your drink. That's your thought. That's your thought. So, when you pick up the ice, the phone will ring and just answer. And it was hysterical. But that was the process that I always used. Know why you do or say something. And then
for every scripted action, there's a reason.
Yes, there's a reason for it. All right, so there's you can see everybody. That's that full cast.
That's a tight set there, man.
That's a tight set. This was a set that was much deeper than it was wide. So you have, and when you're talking to somebody who's upstage of you, you can't turn around and look at them, because the audience can't see you talking. So you have to say your lines out front, and that's where listening comes in. That's it. So, you are saying something that's important to the person who's actually behind you, and that person has to be listening to you, right? And you see the audience sees both actors. And what's really nice about it is it looks like a real room, and it looks like a real conversation.
Yeah, this kind of looks like what would happen at an overcrowded Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
it's natural that you talk to the person and look over your shoulders and things like that.
Sure.
It's not, yeah. So like this person here they're directing their attention towards them.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
and there's the mantelpiece. There's the mantle.
Yep.
And you see one of my actors is standing right next to the mantle. And so you have different levels on the stage. And I loved directing in that space because I loved having actors upstage, downstage, and making natural movements. And that show was a huge success. And again, I was lucky enough to get really, really good actors for it. And yeah. So yeah. So I mean, I guess as when you say a master class in directing, I would say the most important thing is prepare. You have to know basic directing 101. There are basically 6 squares on the stage, which are levels of important. I learned this back in college, and I gleefully ignored all of that in everything I directed. and because again, I thought if the actor truly believes in what he's doing and knows why he's doing it, why he's saying it, he will pull the focus no matter where he is on the stage. And so it was, it was just such a joy. And that theater, of course, went under in the great crash of 2008. Oh. We brought it back, but we never got it all the way back. And then it went under again at COVID and never came back. All right, this is the famous earrings on the floor. Everybody crawling on the floor looking for earrings. So,
it's such a tight space. It's just that many actors.
Yeah, but everybody's clear. And the one thing I would do, again, as I set these scenes up and in rehearsal, I would literally walk from side to side in the back of the theater, making sure that, the action that I needed people to see was visible from all parts of the theater. So even though you have somebody that might potentially be blocked, there were always angles, and you can see that these actors are kind of positioned. So everybody's always visible.
That's amazing. You're right. I mean, it's like, it's not like somebody's standing in front of someone for a specific. Oh, she finally came out of the bathroom. It's like standing in front of somebody for such a long period of time that actually hide them. They're moving quick.
Right, and you don't want to be hidden. So, and again, I was always, I would tell the actors, when you're on the set, if in rehearsal, if you're unsure, if you just look out at the seats, and there's a section of the seats that you can't see because you're blocked, I want you to raise your hand and tell me.
Yep.
And then we would change it. So this is one of my favorite things of sitting on the arm of the sofa. Gave me 2 levels. you know.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm sorry you don't have audio for that on.
Well, I actually do have audio. I can turn the audio on. I just turn it off and talk over it. But,
I wish you could get to the sequence where she did the bit where what did I miss? And she does it all in 12 seconds. It is just so funny.
Where would that be at? Do you know where that would be at?
I know I behaved badly tonight. No, I really did. And I apologize. I've had a rough day today, and I'm just not here tonight.
That's okay. Neither are Charlie and Mum.
That's funny. That is truly funny.
Yeah, I think it's before that. I can't quite remember it. It's
Robert Ken.
Maybe he's still hungry.
Lenny.
So you really weren't watching a special on Hitler?
No, we stopped everything to watch the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler!
To defend me, Ernie, crystals will be here millions of years after this planet is gone.
If the planet is gone, don't the crystals go with it?
I don't know if this would help, Ernie, but there's
Sounds like it was such a good time.
yeah. No, it was basically looking for is the two girls are sitting where the two guys are. I don't want to get caught up in to make you drag this out. But I mean, are there any questions that you guys want to ask me about this? I've kind of babbled on my basic philosophy.
It's great. I mean, I really never understood. So I understand the directors. It seems like the director has a vision, and you get that vision from reading the script.
Yeah.
So when you read the script, what are you looking for in the script that like, gives you those clues of something that you want to change or something that you want to? Did you look at how somebody else had done this before, and like, I didn't like that, or did you just come up? Did you read the script and come up with your own original ideas and like, you know what, I want to do it this way because it's me?
Yeah, most of absolutely 90% of that is the only one that I'd seen was Full Monty, and I'd seen the show, I, you know, and I didn't like it, and I wanted to make, you know, major changes in that show, which involved literally three big numbers. You know, there was a number. I'll give you an example. There's a number called in Monty. It's called "It's the Goods," where the guys are sitting around, you know, talking about, you know, we're going to do this. What happens when our wives look at us and see us do this? And there's a song called "It's the Goods," and actually. I changed it, and it required a completely huge. When we designed the set, I knew I wanted to do this, so I actually had to have the set built on 2 levels, and the orchestra was up in the back. But the 2 levels had 5 platforms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 platforms up there. So what I did was, and It's the Goods, I wanted, which was not in the show that I'd seen it, I put the wives up there as strippers. So we reversed it. We reversed it. So we had these, I mean, and these weren't stripper type gals, but we put them in, they bought into it. We put them in bras and panties up there. And they did the sexiest number up there, where the guys down below are going, what are we going to look like? And the girls are singing counterpoint up to them. You know, you're fat, you're short, you're tall, you're ugly. You know, it's the goods. It's the goods. And again, that was a major change that we made in the show, that it had never been done before. So it was, but yeah, I mean, it was, and yeah, just going back, I was such a believer, as I've told you all, in paying forward. And, you know, now that I am 3 weeks away from turning 80, and with, you know, one leg.
Look at Jack. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I feel.
You look amazing.
I miss it. I really do. I miss it terribly. I miss, you know, I'd like to be on the stage one more time in my life, but that's not going to happen. I'm very glad that they are, especially they've transitioned this on the national tours and on Broadway of Wicked. And in the movie Wicked, that the gal who plays the sister actually is a paraplegic, the gal in the wheelchair, the sister of Glinda. Glinda's sister is in a wheelchair, and she is a legitimate handicapped girl.
Awesome.
Who's a terrific singer.
Yeah.
And when they started it on Broadway, they just put a girl in a wheelchair, and then when it became, when everything's kind of changed and we went to extremes with everything being real, they said, well, why don't we find performers who really are in a wheelchair and give them something to do? And I saw the show with a girl who had been paralyzed in an accident, and when she was 16, and she's still playing that part on Broadway, I think, for 10 years in a row now. And she's awesome. And if you've seen the movie, that gal is a paraplegic in the film too. And I can't wait to see the second half of that.
Yeah, this coming out soon. So you did a cabaret show, and you actually sing and everything else. Do you sing at home now, or do you?
No, not anymore. You have it's all it's funny. It's all diaphragm work. Being able to sing, and when you're sitting all the time, you're compressing your diaphragm, and your vocal technique goes away. It's every so often, if I'm alone in the house, I'll try to do something, and I can't vocally. It's not there, because your breathing and how you sing and how you use your vocal cords is meant to be upright. Right. So no, that's gone. But my cabaret was developed over the years. We laughed about it. It was put in, so I could get an award in edgewise over Richard and at conventions. And it started out at 15 minutes and ended up being an hour and a half. And it was something that, all the music in it was from shows that I had done. And, all the musicals that I had done, was literally in the period where it was too expensive to use orchestras. And so all the music was recorded. And so, I had the tracks of all the songs that I sang. So, I knew I just put them all on a CD, and, we would get at any convention, you always had a sound guy. And,
I was supposed to be your sound guy at Alcon.
Yeah. And it was, and it was great fun to do. It was, and what started out as just being funny anecdotes actually turned into something that I liked in a play. I didn't like what I was doing. I wanted the audience to know that, I can sing, I can do this and do this. But some of the tragedy that came out of these songs and why these songs were so important to me were based on real experiences. And the stories that I told in between the songs were not always like the funny stories I've told you, the David Jansen stories, the horse story. The horse story, of course, was there, but the heartbreak of, the Dobermans and how that killed me, that was in there. Nothing, from Chorus Line was actually true, because I was told, by a theater teacher at Northwestern that the line came out of his mouth, Stauffer, you ought to transfer to liberal arts. You'll never be an actor, never. And that line, when I saw Chorus Line, I went, I have to sing that song. And so, it was, everything in the cabaret was true. I love doing it. I would have, loved to have. I did it sometimes for 8 people, and I did it sometimes for 180 people. But it was always the same, and that was, again, my thing. It was rehearsed. I knew what my lines were. I knew what the songs were. I knew what the cues were. Blessed Sarah Rush did at about 4 conventions, acted as my producer because she knew it, and she knew when to hit the go button on the computer, which would cue the next song. and people and these were at science fiction conventions, and this had nothing to do with Star Wars or Star Trek or anything like this. This had something, and I was amazed at the reaction that I got from people that, God, I never knew you did stuff like this. And I remember I saw My Fair Lady. I saw Oliver. I love that show. Oh my God, you did reviewing the situation. I love that song. And it just goes to show that we are more versatile.
Yes.
Than
I mean, you're not a one-trick pony. I mean,
well, yeah,
you're very, very talented.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you look at somebody like Kristen Bell, who people don't understand. They look at her as being the funny girl on television. Then you realize she was the voice in Frozen. She sang Frozen. She's a beautiful singer. Anna Kendrick is an opera trained singer, and so many actors are. Which is why you're seeing a lot of actors now not being.
I noticed a lot of actors go over, and especially actors of movies, they try to become, or they at least some of them become directors of specific episodes. Like, you watch an actor, and then like, is that like a natural progression? Is it always something that you kind of look forward to? I know we've been talking directors of, but is that like a natural progression? I mean, do you?
That's the oldest joke
as an
in the
actor,
world.
you're like, I want to be a director now. I mean, after acting for 6,000 episodes on Star Trek, now I want to direct an episode. Is that
That's the oldest,
is that a cop out, or is that an actual thing?
Yeah, no, it's the oldest joke in the world. It's oh, you're the star of the show. What do you want to do next? I want to direct. That goes back to my youth. And a lot of actors try to direct, and they're not good at it because they can't get out of their own head and their own self and their own narcissistic attitude that as a director, it becomes all about them. And the key to being a good director is to make it all about the people on the stage.
You're the coach.
That's the key, right? Yeah. You're the coach. You're the teacher. And then the hardest thing is letting them go, because there wasn't a show that I directed that when it opened, and I sat in the back, there was a half of me that just wanted to be on the stage with them. And it's but the other half of me I just loved watching their faces when, for a short period of time, they got to live their dream that they had to sacrifice to be something else in their life. And that was my way of paying forward, to know that you can't do this wrong. It's creative arts. There is no right or wrong. And if you're afraid to try something because you will be criticized, then if you're in an environment and you have a director who's overly critical, walk out the stage door. And as I would say in the very first rehearsal, the one word you will never hear come out of my mouth is no. You can't do this wrong. No, never comes out of my mouth. And now, actors would always, felt free. I was one actor to suggest things. And I will honestly say that probably 90% of the time, what they were suggesting was not good as what I wanted them to do. But I always wanted them to try it. And they said, well, Jack, what if I crossed over here on this line and said this line over there? I feel like I should do that. And I said, well, let's try it. Do it. And they would do it. And I said, well, just do it again. I just want to see it again. And they did it again. And I said, well, how do you feel? And they go, I don't know why I'm over here now. I went, wow. So, all right. So tell me, do you like your way better or
my way?
Or the way that we originally blocked it? Oh, no, the way you originally blocked it was the way we should do it. Okay, well, let's just go back to that. But I have to tell you, there were times when somebody would say, if I could just do this, and I said, show me. And they would do it. And I went, change it, do it. It's perfect. I love it. And that's the whole key to it. It's everything, I hate the whole stardom thing. I mean, it's, especially here in the United States, where it's all about being a celebrity and not being about really working on your craft. The British, that's why, if you look at 90% of what's on television, you realize they're all British actors doing American accents because they're better at it than we are. They're trained and stuff. But anyway, is there any questions that the people listening that want?
So I definitely have questions for you. I think so. Being the actor director type thing, so the progression, you say maybe you go actor director, but at what point, as you were in a lot of different shows, a lot of TV shows, and you were directed by a lot of different directors.
Right.
Out of those directors, which one did you feel the most comfortable with? Which one did you feel that actually wanted you to succeed more than they wanted to succeed? Which one was a real coach, like you are on the stage? Which ones were like real coaches, and how were they? How did they become that coach?
Well, actually, and he's still alive today at 103. His name was Ralph Sinensky. He was a television director, and a theater director. He retired up here to Carmel. He directed the original Star Trek episodes back then. But I did many shows with him, and when you're doing TV stuff, and thank goodness for my 3.5 years on All My Children, where we did this
make a difference.
live. And you literally you were literally doing a play with 2 rehearsals. And when you're doing television, you really don't get a lot of rehearsal time because the director is worrying about, first of all, you have the time element. We have to get so many pages in on this day. Something always goes wrong. And it becomes more about getting the shot right. And the actors are kind of left to their own, space, to figure it out on their own. Ralph Sinensky came in, and I learned a lot about directing from him. He was always fully prepared, and he turned over to his AD. This is what I want. The lighting guy, this is what I want it to look like. You guys go do it. And then he would take the actors and go rehearse. And that meant more to me than anything. That all the scenes that I did then, we've run the dialogue. We've run it for the intent. I know why I'm doing or saying this. I know why I'm getting on the horse. I know why, I'm, turning at the door and saying this last line here. I know why I'm doing that. And so by the time we got to filming it, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. So I would say he was probably the best one. And like I say, he's still alive at 103. And very interestingly, Bill Shatner came to a convention in San Jose a couple of years ago, and at 101, Ralph got himself driven up there and went, and Bill Shatner came over, and Ralph started to tell him about the original 1960s episodes of Star Trek that he directed. And Ralph remembered the scenes and remembered, how Bill Shatner said the lines, and started telling how he said that. And Bill Shatner looked at him and went, "Oh my God," and they sat for 2 hours and just talked about it. And Bill Shatner was very, very, very gracious.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing to talk to him about.
Yeah. I mean, it's and there were good directors and there were bad directors.
I know you don't want to put names out, but what are some of the things that bad directors did?
Well, bad directors, I think they come in not prepared, and I would say, or they're wrong for it. I mean, and probably Battlestar, in the Living Legend episodes, that was probably one of the worst things because Vince Edwards was not prepared for this. And I mean, this was at a point when Battlestar was in such chaos. And
it sounded like it was chaos from the beginning. I mean,
it was, but this was the height of the chaos. And it really was, the battles between management and labor, producers and the actors and the creative process. It was so technically driven and so hard to do that Vince Edwards was in over his head. So literally all of us, I mean, in the cast, we would huddle together and say, okay, we know what the setup is. There's the set. We can't go over there, but we can sit over here and run our lines. And so when we got on the set, and I tell you, the two people, in those episodes that were foremost in saying, yeah, let's just run these lines, were Lloyd Bridges and Lauren Green, the two old pros, who were taught
Right.
And set the example for, all of us. Because basically, I mean, we were afraid, to fall on our faces. We knew we had to get this right, and it was up to us to do it. And I think it's why we remained friends for so long, because like an ensemble cast on stage, that as an ensemble, it only works, as a football team or a baseball team, it only works if everybody does their job to the best of their ability and doesn't try to take over or stand out, but everybody's on an equal level supporting the other person. And I learned that so well in the early years of All My Children, when we were doing this show live. Literally coming in one morning, doing a blocking rehearsal, getting one dress rehearsal, and then going on the air live. And thank God for my theater training. But we were also, when they took Richard Hatch, Karen Gorney, Susan Lucci, and me, 4 unknown actors, and made us the star of the breakthrough soap opera, which changed all of daytime television and became the #1 daytime show for years, and talked about current events. And I mean, it was a very political show. We've talked about this before, but they surrounded us with the creme de la creme of daytime actors and actresses, people who've been in it for years, who were the stars of the shows and were now supporting actors for the young people. And they could have made our lives miserable, but boy, they mentored us. They taught us.
That's awesome.
They covered for us when we screwed up.
Nice.
And it was probably the greatest time of my favorite time of life in my whole career. My biggest mistake was ever leaving that show. I'm sorry I ever left that show. I loved it. I just,
wow. Yeah.
I loved having a job to go to every day.
Well, of course.
I talked to a friend of mine who got furloughed in the government shutdown. I said, well, you've been furloughed once. I was furloughed probably 400 times in my career. Every time I finished a job, it was over. I was sure I'd never work again. And you went right back to the beginning. And that's the nature, of show business. It's so tenuous. It's not for everybody. You have to be able to weather the storms, and only the tiniest percentage get to be, the big money makers. And you and I have had this conversation. I was a good actor. I had opportunities, as I've said many times before. What does it take to be successful in the business? 5% talent, 5% of being in the right place at the right time in front of the people who can hire you, and 90% luck. Yeah. And I was not lucky. I did 5 pilots for my own show, and none of them were picked up.
Yeah, and you were a writer as well. So
and the Dobermans was the one that
and we showed a little bit of that before, and that I hate to say it, Jack, that looked like a really fun show for the time period. That would have been great.
Yeah. So, but that's it's so when people say and I don't know. I come from a different era. I mean, I come from the era of where the working actor would stand this. I'm not sure that exists anymore. Way that the nature of the beast now, and just the technology is all different. Crazy. I'm a dinosaur. I have one foot in the grave, and I have my memories. But you have a whole new generation of young people out there who are incredibly talented and have the ability to showcase their talents through social media. And these young kids, they clear out their family's garage and set up a studio in there. And that's how you audition these days. You don't audition like I did.
You don't drive to the location and go in and
no. And I tell you, I missed that, and I went through a lot of that. You had an audition, you went in, the director was in the room, the producer was in the room. You may be reading a scene with the script girl or with another actor, but you were in front of people and you were auditioning to get a job in front of the people who could hire you. And then I remember when it went to videotape, and it was a huge difference because you couldn't get feedback from people, which really made it harder as an actor, because there's many ways to do a scene. And when I would go in and and like I say, even as an actor, you always got what was known as sides. So you only got 3 pages of a scene, and that's what you were going to go in and read. Well, I knew all the casting people. I would go down to the studio the day before and get the script and sit in the casting office and read the whole script. So I knew, one of the things is, what comes before. It's called the moment before. You learn that in acting. The moment before is what happens. All right, why I'm saying this line is dependent on the moment before. So I wanted to read the whole script, so I knew that the first thing out of my mouth was going to be consistent with what happened before that. So that's why I would get down and read the script.
Context, yeah.
Yeah. So I would also, ask the director in front of me, tell me how you want me to do this? Because there's a couple of ways to do this. And a lot of times they would say, well, just go ahead and do it. And I would do it. And I very rarely did I get, no, Jack, try it another way. But every so often I would, and then I would try to make a change on the spot, which ain't easy.
I bet.
Yeah. And, it's funny because I know I've taken up a lot of time here.
No, Jack, don't worry about that.
I remember, an audition I went on, the worst thing that I ever auditioned for in my life, and I probably should never have accepted the audition. It was to play the part of a drug addict.
Huh.
And
what was the show?
Do
you remember?
I think it was Hill Street Blues.
Oh, yeah.
And I went in and I was horrible because I had no personal memory. I never smoked weed. I never did cocaine. I tried cocaine once. It burdened the shit out of my nose. And I thought, why do people spend money on this crap? So I never did any of this. So I had no experience in my life to draw on of somebody who was loaded on cocaine, which is what this part called for in the scene that I read. So I read it really badly because I didn't have the experience. So, I guess,
What'd they say afterwards? Like, we'll call you, don't call us.
Oh yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you. Next. But yeah, every so often that would happen. Yeah, I mean, it's, and
doing it that way, you get to see body language and the rest of it as you're reading it. So you could get a little bit of a feel whether you were doing it right or doing it wrong, right?
Well, I knew I was doing it wrong the minute I opened my mouth. And
No. I'm talking about when you would go out for auditions.
When
you would be in front of,
I would try to be as prepared as I could be. That's why I would always go down and read the script ahead of time. And so when I went into audition, like I said, the moment before, I mean, I had the sides that I was going to read from. I always memorized them too, so I never had to look at a script. And I knew the moment before, and I did the scene the best that I could. And I got my adequate percentage of jobs that I went on. And, you would think it actually works in reverse, because you'd think as you get older, you would get a higher percentage of jobs that you go on. It actually works in reverse. You would think,
more experience you had going to the...
But when you're younger, you got a lot of people out there auditioning that are trying to start their careers in show business, and you're young and trying to start your career in show business. So I was better than a lot of people. So I would get jobs. As I got older, all the riffraff kind of fell away. And, towards the end of my career, every time I went on audition, if they auditioned 10 people, the other 9 people were equally as good as I was.
Hmm.
They'd all lasted as long as I had, and I knew them all. And
So they had been in the business or experienced
yeah,
just
yeah.
so much.
So it's sort of like, a baseball player going up through single A, double A, triple A, and then he's at the majors, and he wonders why he can't hit the pitch that Ohtani throws. It's a higher percentage of incredibly capable people.
Yep.
And knowing that, I mean, and that gets on you emotionally, because you know that you have to be at the top of your game, and that brings in God, don't screw this up, which is the absolute, and it happens, which is why when I
Dear
went to
God,
directing,
don't screw that. Yeah, don't frack this up.
don't screw this up. And so when I went to directing, that was the one thing I didn't want any of my actors to ever feel. I never wanted that actor feel, God, I hope I don't screw this up. And that was probably one of the most important things of me paying forward that I could. And that's why I said the word no never came out of my mouth. And
Awesome.
I'll give myself a pat on the back. I had, in so many shows that I direct, actors come up to me, at the end of the run and saying, all I want to say is I wish I'd worked with you earlier. And that was the nicest compliment I could get.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah.
That's so important to, you've actually, when somebody does that or somebody says something like that, it's, you've made a difference.
That's the whole, that's some of the part of it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's the great thing about when I tell people who say, God, I wish I could do what you got to do. I go, you can go find a local theater in your area. There's community theaters everywhere. Some of them are really good. Some of them are not as good. So, it doesn't matter. Go in and be the best you can be and have the time of your life, because you now get to do it. And don't be afraid to do this. Don't be afraid to fail. And I say that to anybody in any business that they're in. Don't be afraid to fail. Unfortunately, the realities of life today are, if you fail, you get fired. And I never wanted people to feel like that, around me. So I guess that's, my master class on
I've got one
directing.
last question for the night, and I think it's a fun question, and it would be, so you were a director, you were an actor, but we're going to focus on the director piece. If you had the opportunity to, and once again we're talking about stage plays and things on Broadway and things like that, if you had someone's going to hire you, no matter what it is, I'm going to. What's your favorite one that you would want to be?
The one I wanted.
That one you would want more than anything. I want to direct. I want to direct. Hope what is it? What is it? It's probably not Spam-A-Lot, because
nope. I can tell exactly
what is it?
Because I go back to, it was one of the first shows that I did, and one of my favorite shows of all time. It's Guys and Dolls.
Wow.
And I've done it, twice. I've always wanted to direct it, because I always wanted to make so many changes in it, because I give you what people, again, we're now Guys and Dolls. The two dullest characters in the show are Sky and Sarah, and because they're the romantic leads, and I go, all right, they aren't romantic leads is if they really fall for each other. And I remember, I always wondered in Guys and Dolls, Sky Masterson has a girl in every port. Yep. Why does he not seduce her in Havana? Why does he not do this? And it was the same thing, but all the times I did Music Man. Why does Harold Hill allow himself to get caught in River City? Why? When he's escaped, he's done this all his life. What keeps him there? And that's the truth of the realness of the character, of why he stayed. That was always so important to me. And So in Guys and Dolls, I wanted to take, the ballads and make them up tempo. I wanted to take If I Rebel and make it a duet, and I wanted to take the two last songs in the first act, My Time of Day, and then I've Never Been in Love Before. But My Time of Day, I always, because there's a line in the lyric that goes, and the street lamps light, fill the gutters with gold. And so I always wanted, on the set, that I had in my head, there was always a street light on there. And I always wanted to do that number to a solo saxophone.
Oh.
As a street musician, sing that number to a street musician. And you can get him off the stage, at the end of that number. This guy just gives him, hands him a buck, and he goes off and dips his act. And then, the reality is why does Sky fall in love with Sarah? And that's how I wanted to direct the show. And I always had specific things. I wanted to do the show in black and white.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it was done in 1949, and at the beginning of film noir, I wanted to do it film noir, and my set was a look down Broadway with Picasso-esque theater marquees in just little white lights, black and white, with the shows that were on Broadway at that time. And the color on the set would literally be gray and black and white, and the buildings would be grays, but the color would come from the costumes and the fire hydrant and the street lamp and the newsstand, and that's where the color would come out. And then when they went to Havana, that would all become pastel. And then when they come back to New York, it goes to black and white again, and it only goes to color in the very end when Sky marries Sarah, and then the whole stage goes from black and white to full color.
Wow!
And so that was something that
amazing.
I never got it. I never got a chance to do it. I never got a chance to do it. So
that's one of those things. You're like, hey, we all have dreams, and there's nothing like being able to tweak the idea. And once again, we like the idea that you're telling us what you would do, because we wouldn't know unless you told us.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Again, I almost had the chance to. My other favorite plays, is Mr. Roberts.
Yep.
And I always wanted to do it on the deck of a ship, and I set up a whole thing. I don't know if I've told you this whole story of the whole thing in Wilmington, of doing it on the deck of the USS North Carolina.
North Carolina? I was on the Wisconsin. So
moored on the deck. And I actually set it all up, and we got it all set up, and then they screwed us. And that sounds like
that's going to have to be the
that's going to be a story for another time.
For next time.
Yeah.
And there will be a next time, right?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I'll come on anything. We've done this now. There's other funny stories I can tell, but I love talking to you guys, and
we love hearing you.
We love listening to it.
Yeah. It's just I have my memories now, and I get a little weepy because I miss it. I really do. I miss it a lot.
I bet.
And
I bet.
I hope that's why I hope that this isn't the only go around. But I hope that in a parallel universe somewhere, when I leave this one, I come back and I get to go do this stuff. Keep doing it again. And
awesome.
I wish somebody come back and tell us. And
no kidding, right? Right?
Nobody does.
Yep.
Nobody ever does. I mean, that's not fair. But so thank you so much, Jack, and Rick, and everybody for joining us tonight. It's like like we said, a masterclass in directing, but it's also so much fun to talk to you, Jack. It's so much more the behind the scenes, the information. We always want you to come back.
I will come back anytime you want me to. And as I sign off now, I sign off the same way. Without the fans, none of us would have had any success at all. And by far the most important people out there were the fans, because they're the ones who turned on the TV back in our day, and they're the ones who came out and saw us. And without them, we'd all be selling insurance. And so
I don't know if you're doing insurance. I might be. I don't know. I find
I love
monkeys somewhere or something.
I
but-
love them all to death, and you know, it's I'll see it in a month or so whenever
Yep.
you send me an email and
We
tell me
will
what you want
definitely
me
be
to
back in a
talk
month.
about.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
So, everybody, thanks for joining us. Jack,
Yeah.
Rick, thanks for joining us. And the important thing is, like
thank
Jack
you.
just said, the important thing is that we recognize the fans, because the fans are the people who drive the ideas. The fans are the people who have the imagination. The writers are the people who create things. The actors are people who create those people inside I screwed it up. But anyways, to create these, the actors are the ones who create the actual person inside of the script or inside of the book.
Right.
And of course, the writers are the ones who start this in regards to, hey, I have this idea and I would love to share that with everybody.
Right. We're all part of the same team, and we're all equally important. And
it is a team sport.
You bet. And just because your name is as they say, just because your name may be number one on the call sheet, or your name may be above the marquee, it doesn't mean you are more special than anybody else.
I like that. That's
it's
awesome.
Yep. It's you know,
that's
it's
important.
On a stage with 40 actors doing Music Man and all the musical stuff and the dancing and there were a lot of dancers who bailed my ass out on that stage when I would get off the count or something. So I will let you guys go.
All right.
Thank you
thanks
so
everybody
much
for
for
joining
having
us.
me on.
It's fans.
I'll see you in a
It was
month.
an awesome night. Thank you.
Yep. So we wish everybody a good night. Fans for the fleet. And here's to you and Jack and everybody else out there. Thanks, Rick, for joining us.
Alrighty.
Thank you.